Greetings and welcome to a Prayerful Pause. I'm Nancy Woodworth-Hill, a spiritual director and companion. Today we continue my series on forgiveness. So this is the third in the series, and we're going to look, we looked at the biblical basis of forgiveness, seeing that forgiveness is part of God's character and urged by Jesus. Then we examined a number of things that forgiveness is not, with hints of what it is. And here we turn to some aspects of what forgiveness is. I mentioned last time that forgiveness is more than feelings, that forgiveness is about releasing our grip on old wrongs, restoring peace, and perhaps mending the relationship. Let's take a look at each of these. First, a few words about letting go. In the physical world, there's some things that are really easy to let go of. A dish that's just too hot to handle, or not taking a second bite of some kind of food that I don't like, for instance. But in our emotional and spiritual and mental spaces, this is more difficult. So we find great challenge in letting go of a past event, how we feel about it, or how certain triggers have us churning that event over and over and over again in our thoughts. It may seem that what happened didn't matter, but it does matter. What if we were to consider shifting the language from letting go to letting be? It's more important to recognize that something mattered. However, the challenging truth is that one cannot change the past, no matter how hard one tries. Some things just need to be set aside and not carried into one's future. In essence, forgiveness, while concerning a past event, is deeply about our future. It carries the ability to free ourselves from the chains of our misery and to walk into the future without a burden. So forgiveness is about how we carry something, not whether we carry it. We will carry our memories, but we don't need to carry the burden of them, allowing them to hold us back, chaining us to some past event and its messages. Forgiveness always looks to our future. The word for mending a relationship is reconciliation. It's really important to realize that reconciliation, the mending of a relationship with another person, is not necessary, nor is it required to enter forgiveness. In fact, there are situations when it is advisable not to seek to mend a relationship. For example, an ongoing oppression or abuse. It is known, for instance, that people quit abusive managers, not necessarily jobs. There's no need to keep forgiving abusive behaviors, inappropriate behaviors, in situations where there is no capacity for changed behaviors, especially when we are still in such situations. It's worth noting that while Jesus demanded forgiveness, he never demanded reconciliation. In a perfect world, there would be reconciliation in all cases, along with appropriate restitution. However, this world is not perfect, and there are cases where reconciliation is not practical. Perhaps beyond the veil of death, reconciliation may occur. Forgiveness is also about finding compassion, reclaiming personal power, and speaking truth. The Reverend Dr. Rob Voyle, that's spelled V as in Victor, O-Y-L-E, taught me about the three faces of compassion. Tenderness, which is redeemed pity in the face of pain. Mischievousness, which is redeemed sarcasm, used in the face of resistance, and fierceness, which is redeemed anger in the face of injustice. We do two of the three well. I use the word redeem in the sense of buying back, returning, seeking wholeness. It can be startling for us to understand that fierceness and mischievousness are compassionate. Jesus used all three faces, and we'll take a closer look at them in a later segment. The challenge is to engage these three faces of compassion in a healthy way, a way in which we speak our truth with a calm authority, an awareness of and care for ourselves with an attitude that is not towards retributive. Further, it's important to know in one's bones that forgiveness is not condoning harmful actions. It's not about covering over what has happened. In many ways, forgiveness is about letting be and remembering. To put back together is remember, but in a different way. We'll get more on that later. Forgive and forget, I'll note, are both F words. We don't want to get ourselves into a similar harmful situation into the future. So we do want to remember so that we can avoid. We want to break the cycle of hatred and retribution into a life of freedom and love. We want to learn from life in ways that strengthen us as spiritual beings. In this way, forgiveness is about shaping our futures to bring us a measure of peace, strength, love, and trust. I'd like to return to the notion that forgiveness is a quality of God. In my personal experience, I've learned that some offenses require the process of releasing a considerably painful period of one's life into the forgiveness that is God, which allow us to surrender the event, to let it be in a way that is freeing. It is no longer ours to hold, but God's. One experience of this followed a dream in which I spoke truth to an individual who'd tramped over my life years before. I cannot adequately explain what happened, but as I awoke, I knew in my bones that I had released myself in a new way from holding some life-altering events, freeing myself to live in a different, healthier future. This was like the film It's a Wonderful Life. The main character wishes he had never been born, and he's given this wish, which shows him the impact that his life has had. When he returns to this life, all the challenges and unfulfilled wishes are still there, but he sees himself differently. This is one of the gifts of forgiveness. So look for the next in the series to be aired next week.